sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo.
Hello and welcome everybody to another Tuesdays with Tommy. How's everybody doing out there today? It is Tuesday, April 8th. Oh hey, the Nether Knight's here already. Greetings from the Chicago area. All right. I feel bad that you're up in Chicago. That's watch your back. But I'm glad you're in my state. So, you just need to be further south. Yeah, it's a Tuesday and it's already been a long week. And I'm not saying that as a joke this time. Actually, I worked all day today and yesterday. No, I didn't work all day yesterday. I had to do my taxes yesterday. What a scam taxes is. Not to get off the subject of what this show is about, but man, the government already knows exactly what you owe them or what they owe you in some cases. What they could do is just I don't know, in February, send you a bill or send you a check. But no, instead, I got to sit down with some lady and go through a pile of a stack of paperwork for hours, and then pay them $400 at the end of it. Just so I can tell the government something they already know. It's infuriating. It really is. I can't stand it. They need to just do away with this system. Come up with something better. I shouldn't have to waste a day every year going through a pile of paperwork just to tell the government something they already know. But anyway, I will get off my rant about taxes. Tonight, as the title says, we are talking about the Second Crusade. And very much like last week, I will reiterate, I was not very well versed in the Crusades before doing these episodes, just because, as I said last time, there's so much information out there that's wrong, and it's really hard to weed through and know what is right and what is wrong and what actually happened. But I've distilled it down to some dates and some names and some facts. And obviously everything's from the Catholic point of view, but it still doesn't change the facts of this is what happened on this day with these people. So, yeah. So again, forgive me if I butcher some of these names because I'm not familiar with a lot of them. A few of them, yes, but a lot of them, no. So if I'm mispronouncing something, yeah, tough. Just let me know. But sorry if I do. Let's see. What are you out there doing the other night? You're scooting around in your second round trip around Lake Michigan. Oh, on your way to Pontiac. Okay. Sweet. Yeah, you'll be about 40 minutes from us. No, the second is your favorite Crusade. Really, after reading this, the second, I don't know. After doing the research, I don't know if I'd call it my favorite. It's more reactionary. The Second Crusade is definitely more reactionary. Trying to hold on to the gains of the First Crusade. I thought maybe the First Crusade was a little more interesting, is because it was like, all right, we're going to go and we're going to take this back, and now you're kind of defending what you've got. So I don't know. It's definitely interesting though. I will definitely say that it's an interesting story. And you can fill me in later on anything important things that you think maybe I missed. But like I said, because of there's so much varying information, so much contradicting information out there on the Crusades. I It's really tough to weed through the nonsense and see like what actually is true and what actually is not. So I don't really try to get into too much of that. Were the Crusaders the good guys or the bad guys? Were they actually Catholics or were they actually Satan? Like I'm not getting into any of that. Um, as I stated last time, all their excommunications were lifted after death. So apparently there's enough people in the Catholic Church that didn't think they were the bad guys that they were made out to be. And we also know that there's definitely a lot of bad guys in the higher up places in the church that would have taken these guys out due to jealousy of their wealth and their stature in the community, and felt like they should be getting honored instead of these guys. So let's just put an end to them. So and make them look like the bad guy and me the good guy. Is that what happened? I don't know. I tend to think that it is, but I'm not going to go out and say that as a definite because it's too hard, with so many years of contradicting bad information. But, with that being said, I think I will get into this a little bit. Let me get my pipe. Um, so how did the Second Crusade start? Second Crusade started with the fall of Edessa. Um, December 24th, 1144. This sorry. The Second Crusade erupted from grievous wound to Christendom, where Zengi, the barbaric Atabeg of Mosul, stormed Edessa on Christmas Eve, 1144. His forces razed the sacred outpost founded by the First Crusade martyrs, slaughtering 6,000 Catholic defenders, enslaving women and children, and torching churches like St. John's. This sacrilege, a direct affront to the Virgin Mary and her Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, inflamed the church, demanding a righteous vengeance to restore God's dominion. So yeah, Edessa was raided, and it wasn't just like raided. It was, you know, torched all the holy sites, murdered all the men, enslaved the women and children. Most of the women were sex slaves and stuff like that. So it wasn't a good thing. It was very barbaric, even by those days standards. By today's standards, it all seems barbaric, but even by the standards of the day, it was pretty out there. So so that's what ignited the Second Crusade. It was a retaliation or a response, should I say, to what happened in Edessa. Um, so after that comes a papal bull again. It was a papal bull that led to the first one, and a divine sermon from Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, not of Montjuic. So got to get our Saint Bernards right here. So on December 1st of 1145, uh, through the spring of 1146, Pope Eugenius III, anointed vicar of Christ, issued Quantum Predecessores. Sorry if my Latin is not perfect. Uh, from Victor Ciano, calling Europe's kings to arms with the authority of St. Peter. St. Bernard of Clairvaux, a prophet like figure whose sanctity rivaled the apostles, launched his preaching campaign in Vézelay on Easter Sunday, March 31st, 1146. Before a throng of 10,000, his voice trembling with holy fire, promised eternal life to crusaders, swaying Louis VII of France and Conrad III of Germany to kneel in tearful submission, their crowns humbled before the cross. So yeah, it starts out with the Pope uh, issuing a papal bull, a proclamation, and also Saint Bernard, preaching to the masses that it's time to take a stand and defend the Holy Land. So with that, um, they start gathering an army. So the Crusaders' vows and the army of the elect from spring to summer of 1146. And I would like to point out that Easter of 1146, March 31st, my birthday. It's one of the years that Easter fell on my birthday. How special. So, spring and summer of 1146. In cathedrals aglow with candlelight, Louis VII, a king of saintly devotion, and Conrad III, emperor of the Romans, took the cross in masses, led by bishops like Geoffrey of Langres, nobles, Thierry of Alsace, Count of Flanders, Henry of Champagne, and Artemis III of Savoy joined their retinue swelling in ranks to 70,000 peasants, inspired by Bernard's miracles, where he reportedly healed the blind, flocked to this army of the elect, their crusade cross sewn with faith, ready to die for the church's glory. Oh, we got some more people popping in there. What's up, Q and JC? And Stax is here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. So yeah, that's the key players here. And yeah, so I'm gonna leave off now after you guys interrupted me. Yes. So this is the formation of the army. Now the departure of the armies happened in June of 1147. So Conrad's 20,000 Germans, bearing relics like the true cross fragment from Bamberg, marched from Regensburg in May, their chants of Christus Vincent echoing through the Danube Valley. Louis' 15,000 French departing Metz in June with Queen Eleanor and Bishop Arnulf of Lisieux, processed under banners of Saint Denis, Odo of Dieu. The king's chaplain recorded this as pilgrimage ordained by heaven, a Catholic host united to smite the infidel and reclaim Christ's lost sheep. So they took off in June of 1147, heading back to the Holy Land from France and Germany. Because as most people should know, maybe you don't, France is considered Catholicism's eldest daughter. Outside of Rome, France was the stronghold of Catholicism at this time. And obviously Spain was huge Catholic, but at this time, France, it was all about France right now. So as they leave, as you remember from the first crusade, they go into a Byzantine alliance, because you got to cross through the eastern territories to get to where you're going. So at Constantinople, the Crusaders met Manuel Komnenos, a perfidious Greek whose Orthodox heresy paled besides the Catholic truth. We're Catholics. That's what you're going to get from us. The Orthodox heresies paled beside Catholic truth. Conrad's troops, provoked by Byzantine tax collectors, skirmished near the Golden Horn. While Louis, ever patient, knelt in Hagia Sophia to pray for unity, Manuel's grudging aid, ferrying the armies across the Bosphorus in 300 ships, came only after oaths of fealty, a test the Crusaders passed with saintly forbearance, their purity shining against Eastern duplicity. So again, like the first one, you've got kind of a shaky truce between the Orthodox and the Catholics right now in a common cause in the Holy Land. And it's very shaky. All the alliances between the Byzantines and Western Catholics is, and that's another thing that's, could go either way. If you read about this, some people say, oh, the Catholics were horrible to the Byzantines. Byzantines, will say, oh, the Catholics were horrible to. I'm not going to get into I can tell you there was some resentment on both sides, and I'll bet you neither side was great to the other. But there was shaky truce to um, achieve a goal. So we'll leave it at that. So next comes the Battle of Dorylaeum. Uh, in Anatolia's rugged plains, Conrad's host faced Sultan Mas'ud's Seljuk horde near Dorylaeum on October 25th. 20,000 Turks unleashed a storm of arrows and cavalry charges, cutting down 18,000 crusaders in a day-long slaughter. 18,000 died in the day. Um, Conrad, wounded, fled with 2,000 to Nicaea, yet Catholic scribes like Otto of Freising hailed the fallen as martyrs, their blood a libation to God. This sacrifice, though an earthly setback, crowned them with heavenly laurels, strengthening the survivors' resolve. So, yeah, even though it was a bit of a setback, and honestly, the whole Second Crusade is really nothing but a setback. Um, it's not like it was demoralizing. Um, Honestly, it definitely strengthened people to go on and fight harder. So, not every loss is a total loss. There's some bright spots there. Um, so the French armies sacrificed struggle in Anatolia from November 1147 to January 1148. Louis's army, warned by Conrad's fate, hugged the coast but met torment near Mount Cadmus. On January 6, 1148, Seljuk raiders struck as the vanguard led by Geoffrey de Rancone straight ahead, leaving the rear guard exposed. Hundreds, including knights like Guy of Burgundy, fell in the snowy pass, their bodies piled as offerings to Christ. Odo of Duil praised their endurance, holding masses amid the carnage, proving the Crusaders' sanctity in a trial mirroring Golgotha. Yeah, it was a bit of a slaughter. Um, Again, a lot of this isn't the decisive victory that the First Crusade was. Not that the First Crusade was an easy or a decisive victory, but it set out what it achieved to or set out what it set out to achieve. They got the Holy Land. They got their churches back. They got the Muslims off of Christ's Holy Land. Um, so the next battle would be March 19th of 1148 in Antioch. So reaching Antioch on the feast of Saint Joseph, Louis and Conrad were greeted by Prince Raymond of Poitiers, a gallant Catholic lord, and Bishop Ralph of Bethlehem. Raymond begged an assault on Aleppo to crush Nur al-Din Zengi's vile heir. But Louis, guided by divine counsel and letters from Jerusalem's patriarch Fulcher, chose to safeguard the holy city. This noble choice, despite Eleanor's rumored dalliance with Raymond, affirmed the church's sacred priority, a beacon of Catholic fidelity amid human frailty. So yeah, it was like I'm not going to go out and we're not going to leave here and go try to conquer this guy in revenge. What we're going to do is we're going to safeguard the holy city because that's the most important thing here. This is what we're here to do. And then obviously there's rumors of unfaithful women and stuff. I didn't get too deep into that because again, I don't want to dig into speculation and these people say this and those people say that and this happened and that happened. Um, so yeah, so the next battle, um, oh man, we're blowing through this fast. Um, The next battle is the Siege of Damascus. Um, that's July 24th of 1148. At Damascus, 50,000 crusaders, Louis Conrad and Baldwin III of Jerusalem, a boy king of pure faith, united under the cross. On July 24th, they stormed the city's western orchards, felling trees and routing defenders with lances, blessed by priests. Uh, the Damascene walls loomed, but Catholic banners emblazoned with the Virgin and St. George fluttered defiantly, signaling God's imminent triumph over the Muslim usurpers, a prelude to Edessa's liberation. Or so they thought. And yeah, it's a, it's all, it was a tough battle. It was, these walled cities are not easy to take. So, the retreat, because obviously it was unsuccessful. There was the retreat from Damascus. Um, After 4 days, Nur ad-Din's scouts neared, and discord stoked by Baldwin's barons, some suspecting bribery, undermined the siege. A shift of the arid eastern walls exhausted the army, forcing retreat on July 28th. Bernard later preached this as God's chastisement for pride, not failing for the Crusaders' valor. Um, Nights fasting and praying amid battle pleased heaven. Their sacrifice, still one rewarded, were stored treasures in eternity. So, was this a chastisement from God for pride? Maybe. Um, I couldn't say, but the knights did most of fought with valor. Um, and they definitely sacrificed, and we like to believe that those sacrifices were rewarded in eternity. Um, and then the aftermath and Jerusalem's holy perseverance from September 1148 through 1149. Louis lingered in Jerusalem until April of 1149, gifting 50,000 gold bezants to fortify the walls and arm the Templar and Hospitallers, those knightly guardians of the faith. Conrad sailed from Acre in September of 1148, his spirit unbroken, though Odessa lay in ruins. So Odessa, they never took it back, and it was destroyed. So, a desolating ruins, their efforts shielded the Holy Sepulchre, a victory of soul over soil. Catholic chroniclers like William of Tyre extolled this as a testament of the church's resilience, its light unquenched by temporal loss. So, yes, Edessa may have been destroyed and they may not have gotten the revenge that they wanted, but Jerusalem still lay in the hands of Christians. So it wasn't a total loss. We didn't lose all of the Crusader states that we had. We held most of our ground. We fought off other attacks. So we didn't cede any more ground than this one outpost. So as a whole, I would probably say this is a win. Because we didn't lose Jerusalem, the most important, but we also didn't lose a lot of the other Crusader outposts. And then the final thing from 1149 is the Second Crusade scorned by the faithless was radiant saga of Catholic heroism. Bernard, undaunted, wrote De Consideration, defending its sanctity. God judged hearts, not outcomes. The Crusader states endured, their cathedrals ringing with bells, while Nur ad-Din's rise only steeled the faithful for future battles. The Templars' Red Cross is multiplied, a legacy of this holy war, proving the church's divine mandate to wage war for Christ until the last day. And yeah, that's kind of where I came down on this is, although it may not have been a decisive victory per se in any shape or way, it definitely strengthened resolve. The Templars became they grew, they got stronger. Um, the Crusader states were still there, and it definitely, the resolve of the Christian to continue to defend this land grew. It was by no means a disheartening, like, oh, what are we even fighting for anymore? Let's just give it up. No, it definitely, it lit a fire under some people, and it made us dig in even harder. And like, we are not going to cede more of this ground. So as some people might say, it was a failure. I don't see it that way. I see it as an obstacle, a speed bump in the road, which only actually made us stronger at the end of the day. So yeah, so that's it. That's all I really have on the Second Crusade, because like I said, I'm really just trying to stick to key fact dates and stay out of a lot of the muddied waters of other nonsense. So yeah. So with that being said, that's all I really got time for today, guys. Like I said, it was a long day. I just finished dinner. I have other things I have to do, but I didn't want to skip the show. Because I've already skipped it once, and this is something I try to make time for, even if I don't really think I have the time. So I appreciate you guys stopping by. So that being said, I'll see you guys tomorrow with Emily for our normal Wednesday programming. And I will try to do a little better with this stuff. I'm still trying to find my footing with this show. But these are things that I just kind of think are interesting, especially the different battles through Christendom. I think next week I'm going to do the Third Crusade. It'll probably be another short touch on like this one, and then after that, I think I'm going to do a little video watch party thing. I know I didn't really want to do a lot of that on this show, but I came across one from I Miss Christendom on YouTube that I think would be beneficial on this show that I'd really like to watch with you guys. So that'll be coming up in 2 weeks. So with that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow with Emily, and then I will see you guys again next week on this show on Tuesdays with Tommy for the Third Crusade and the final chapter of the Crusades. So thank you guys for coming out. God bless, and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimitte nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a male.